everyone, welcome to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I am your host, Scott, and joining me, as always, is the wonderful Seskra. How are you this morning, Seskra?
Merry whichever holiday you prefer, everybody. I'm very good. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. It's been a bit warm here. Yesterday and currently today, it's currently cool at the moment. So I've currently got the fan off while we're recording this. Hopefully the heat won't just rise up. But no, I've been generally good. I'm currently on a week's on holiday from my work. So yay me.
Good old Australian summer holiday.
How about yourself? How you been holding up?
I've been good, yeah. Like, the holidays are busy. They are, oh god, are they busy? Why did it have to be so busy? But other than that, it's been good. I did pull, like, 2 different muscles this month, but recovered from all of that fairly nicely. So, but yeah, my New Year's resolution, more yoga, because I do not want that happening again.
No, exactly. My New Year's resolution is to take more time off next year.
Also very healthy.
Yeah, so it's been a very busy year this year for me in regards to work, but I'm going to make the effort and actually try and take some time off, apart from what I'm currently doing now. Yes. But no, I've been generally good. So yeah, generally a good Christmas holiday for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. I would describe the amount of food I had at Christmas dinner as medically irresponsible, but worth it. We had
nice.
Leftovers for days, despite my best efforts. There was and all of it was so delicious.
Always good. Always good. I just had the relatives over. We had a nice Christmas lunch on the 27th. With multiple families, hard to keep everyone to one place. So you gotta adjust and make sure they at least spend some time together. Don't always have to have it on Christmas Day. But no, it was a nice Christmas lunch. I'll say that.
Excellent.
Alrighty. Well, let's get into this. I'll remind everyone that we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/GamePodular. You can throw us a couple of dollar dues. Just make sure you do take care of yourself first. We've also got, you can also send us a Ko-fi at kofi.com/GamePodular. So just a couple of dollar dues there if you'd like to. We also do have a, you do put these up on YouTube's. So youtube.com/@GamePodular. And we also have a lovely Discord community at GamePodular.com where you can get all our info. And lastly, we do have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv.com/GamePodular, where we do try and do some streams. And from what I hear, we're going to be doing another one on Sunday, January the 4th.
Yeah, that's right. I will actually be making my Twitch debut outside of the chat. I'll actually be on camera. Oh, dear God. But no, I'm going to be starting a Hollow Knight randomizer run. Not the first time I've done one of those. I always deeply enjoyed them, and I have decided to torture myself for the amusement of the audience, so it's going to be a spicy one.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's going to be Sunday, January 4th, 10 a.m. GMT. So do your own math on when that is for you locally. Hope to see you there.
Fantastic. All right, let's get into what we've been playing during this month.
Let's.
So the first game that I've been playing is actually a game that was re-released on the Nintendo Classics for GameCube for Switch 2. That is Wario World. This was released back in 2003. I consider myself a bit of a Wario aficionado, but I had actually played this one, surprisingly.
Me neither. I remember the
This was back in 2003. Because I'm a big fan of of course, the classic Game Boy games.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm dying to when they're going to release a new Wario Land game.
Mhm.
But this is yeah. So I played this. Yeah, been playing this on the Nintendo Switch too. It's actually been pretty good. This it's very a bit of an interesting one. If you compare it to something, say like it's nothing compared to say like Mario 3, like say Mario Sunshine, if we're going by the original GameCube one. Um, but it is a bit of a shorter one. You start off as obviously Mario, who is a treasure hunter. Apparently, they get a they collect a black jewel. And this is actually a cursed black jewel. So he gets rid of all these treasures, and so the name of the game is actually you have to go ahead and get all your treasure back. This you are actually split up into sort of 4 worlds. Each of those worlds have 2 levels.
So it's Wario Worlds.
Yes.
Maybe they couldn't fit the S on the box art.
Hmm. But it is a but the thing is like this is a very tightly worlds. Like each of these like levels inside these worlds, they actually have their own boss. So it's not just, you just complete a couple of levels and then get to the boss. It's like each level at the end has their own boss. Uh, and I gotta say, I mean, I haven't looked at here. Some of these boss designs are absolutely weird. You've got stuff like Clown Around, which is like it's just like a weird faceless clown. A Brawl Doll, which is sort of like a baby, sort of like a doll. The weirdest one I've found is what's called a Red Brief J. This looks to be like a muscular, very muscular pig demon sort of thing. This is a weird one. This is a weird one where the name of the level is supposed to get him to run around on your like on a lava level. You get him to run around. You got to slam into sort of the grate to get them to fall into the lava, and so they're sorry, it's actually Manly Minotaur.
Manly Minotaur. The
Oh,
Manotaur.
yeah. But that's just sort of the bosses. The actual gameplay itself, pretty interesting. It actually, it's sort of, I would say, sort of mixing between like a Mario game and a sort of a brawler, like say, Final Fight. Because the name of the game is that you're pretty much just punching enemies, slamming into them, and you can actually use enemies to sort of swing yourself around, swing the enemies around. And you do this by grabbing onto an enemy and rotating the stick, flicking around, or you can just simply chuck it at enemies. And they also work within the actual designer level itself. So there'll be certain sections like you got to get onto like a platform that you got to swing around an enemy, and then the platform will rise because you're like it's like a screw lifting up.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to do that, and just some interesting designs. And then throughout this level, you've got to get certain items. So you've got to get these red jewels you got to get a certain amount to be able to fight the boss. With that, I think it's 3 that I think it's 8 maximum in a level, although you don't need to have all of them in to get that. But if you also get you'll also get these little like little fairy companions that you can free. You also get treasure. There's 8 treasures inside a level. You've also got 8 pieces of a golden Wario statue that you collect. And then once you actually collect that statue, all those pieces, you increase your health by 1 heart.
Permanently or just for the level?
Permanently.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good deal.
Yeah. And you've also got, because you don't collect health, like you don't replenish your health by attacking enemies. You replenish your health by having a garlic stand. It's an individual who will feed you a piece of garlic if you punch them and pay them money.
Right, Wario does have a garlic thing. Like it is his chili dog.
It is his. It's literally it's his chili dog. It's his Mario mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is with this is that every time you like go ahead and give money, it increases the money that you actually use. So say like the first garlic piece is like 10 coins. The next one will be 20, 30, and it'll keep increasing. So it sort of shows you that that you can replenish your health, but it will be at an increased cost each time. And this also applies to the actual when you actually die, because you don't have any levels. It's a game over. However, you can pay money to pick off exactly that point in the actual where you're playing. So say you're fighting a boss and they're down to half health, you can pay like something like 200 coins, and the boss will still be a half health, but you get like 4 hearts back. So, but that will actually increase. So like the next time you die, it'll be 300 coins, then 400. Yeah.
So death starts cheap, but it doesn't stay that way.
But it is no, I've been enjoying this. I haven't finished it yet. I've only done the first 3 levels. But I will be continuing with it. Because I've only got 2, like, first there will be 1 world left, and then I think it's the final boss, and then that's it. So it is very much on the shorter side. I think from reading from the reviews, originally it was panned for its short play, short time. But I feel like it's a bit it's a tight game. It can encourage you to go ahead.
Was this the first Wario game released on a home console? Because I think they were all handheld up to this.
Yes, there's probably maybe like a WarioWare that was released on the GameCube, but this was sort of like their first, like, I would say, like, proper Wario game, like not just something like a collection of micro games or something. It's like a Wario Land game for the console. So yeah, the next one would be Wario Land: The Shake Dimension for the Wii, and then
Oh, I do remember the Shake Dimension. Yeah, that was an experience.
I don't know if you remember. I remember there was a Nintendo had a site where they made it look like YouTube. You click it, it looks exactly like YouTube back then. And what it was is that whenever Wario would do his slam, it would shake the whole web page, and then the web page would just break down, keep just breaking down and breaking down.
Do remember that? Yeah. Good times.
Back in the old YouTube display. But no, I've been enjoying this, and yeah, I'm going to be continuing on with it. So yeah, if you got the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack and a Switch 2, yes, I would say give it a whirl. I've also been playing it on my GameCube NSO controller, which is pretty cool. All right, so you've been playing a game called A Tavern For Tea. How has that gone for you?
It was very nice. Like, for those who don't know, gentle viewer, my literal actual favorite game of all time is Valhalla, which is a bartending simulator. I believe the full title is like Tactical Cyberpunk Action Valhalla. Uh, and I love it. I adore it. It made me realize there's a very particular vibe you can achieve in a game where you play as the bartender, where you play as, most of the time, a supporting character in other people's stories. If you do that right, that's a really cozy, very interesting way of telling a story, and I like it a lot. So ever since then, I've kept an eye out for things where you play as a bartender or a barista, anything along those lines. So things like Coffee Talk and Necro Barista, etc. And this falls into that category. You run a tavern, except you serve tea instead of ale. I had a good time with it, but it also ended up not really being in that genre. Because everything I talked about is way more fleshed out and way more actually substantive when it comes to gameplay. A Tavern for Tea kind of uses that bartending framework as just it's just the narrative framing device for a pretty short little visual novel. Like, it's just a story about two patrons at the local tavern getting to know each other as people rather than colleagues. The catch being, I call them colleagues. The work they share is one of them is the hero who has to save the kingdom, and the other one is the demon overlord that he's trying to beat. And this is like their first time chatting outside of work. And that's a cute little spin on it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters for what they are, but it is very short to the point where I don't really feel comfortable saying that, like, oh yeah, this is like Valhalla or like Coffee Talk or anything like that. Like, there is very little gameplay at the end of the day. Like, you do brew different kinds of tea for these people, but it's a very linear experience of just sort of following the very obvious clues of what they want. And if you don't give them exactly what they want, it's just, all right, we'll try it again. There's not really variety or multiple options, unlike something such as Valhalla. Like, what I really liked about Valhalla is it actually mimicked being a real life bartender in that you sort of had to exercise discretion as to how drunk people should be getting. Like, it was sort of left up to you to be like, they ask you for a strong drink. If you think they've had enough, maybe give them something that tastes similar, but isn't going to send them puking home. And conversely, if somebody asks for something very mild and you can tell they've had a rough day and probably need to unwind, maybe you want to give them something more. And like, there's genuine different dialogue based on what you do with that. Tavern for Tea does not have the budget to incorporate anything along those lines. It's just get it right or try again. That's your only options. It was cute. I could definitely say it's cute. I liked the music. It felt like a really good prototype that somebody made in a game jam, and I look forward to playing the final version of it, except this is the final version of it.
Yeah. Oh.
I did know going in that it would be short, for the record. Like, this isn't me saying, like, oh, this was short and gave off the impression of being a big, long, epic title. No, I knew it was short. I just didn't appreciate how much that would actually affect the gameplay. Because I kind of needed something short this particular month. Because, with the holidays, it's already busy enough. And also, I have been playing a lot of Hollow Knight in preparation for that randomizer stream. Like,
yep.
I've been hitting the gym, brother.
No, but but no, I definitely agree. You do need to have something just hit that just sort of I will actually get into this, what I've been playing with the next game. and what I've been successfully playing afterwards. But you definitely need to have some sort of you can't always just have sort of the long epic thing. You do need something just fairly short. But this is something that's like they're short, but then they're just short is what you were describing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do recommend like giving it a look if you enjoy like if you're the kind of person who actually plays indie visual novels, if you check out places like Itch.io and such every now and then, I do recommend this. And in this game's defense, it is cheap. Like the default price is €3. Right now it's on discount for like 2.25. So they're not overcharging you. I, but yeah, it's very bite-sized. It scratches a particular itch, and it's not really the game's fault that my itch is bigger than it can really accommodate. But yeah, I was hoping for like a bartending game, or in this case, I guess tea brewing game, and what I got was more a visual novel. And even then, calling it a visual novel is a little bit misleading, because visual novels do tend to have meaningful choice and branches. Maybe not a lot of branches, but they tend to have them. This is more what's called like a kinetic novel, in that it's one single story, and the only choices are do the thing that progresses the story or try again. So it's very linear in that sense, which is a little bit of a shame. I'm sounding more negative than I think I want to here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a great game, but I did genuinely enjoy myself. It's just like, don't expect it to be deeper than it is. Like, you're paying $3, you're gonna get $3 worth.
Exactly. Okay, so like most people, I was very excited for this particular month when they finally did release that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This has been talked to death. There has been some various opinions online. Some positive, some negative. I will be going into sort of all of that. Just a quick refresher. This is obviously a sequel to the Metroid series, but specifically Metroid Prime series. This was announced back in the Switch 1 reveal and development. Originally developed by Bandai Namco. 2 years later, it was announced that Nintendo eventually the project was restarted with the original developer Retro Studios at the helm. And then 8 years later, it is still for Switch 1, but it is being marketed for the Switch 2 heavily.
I remember seeing pre-orders for this in 2017, and I wonder if those would still be valid. Like,
I'm just gonna go like I remember something like this wasn't gonna be like considered vapor, like something like Duke Nukem Forever, which that was ended up getting re-released, and apparently a lot of people, they still had their pre-orders for that, and that they were apparently honored, which is cool. But this was always going to be in development. And okay, so a few of the controversies coming on. The first is one is the whole Soul Valley, which is the desert area. And the second, I would say, is the supporting characters. Normally in Metroid, the Metroid games, you are in sort of one encapsulated world, and each of those sections within those worlds are interconnected. As Metroid Prime 4, this sort of changes it up where like the whole start, the start of the game is that you are battling you go into a battle fighting with the Galactic Federation. You find the space pirates who have been apparently being possessed by Metroids now. And then they release a boss, and that boss, once you defeat the boss, you're confronted with Psylocke, who made their very first appearance in the Nintendo DS Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yes, the oft overlooked branch of the family tree.
I remember being hyped for that back in the day.
It looked so cool in the trailers, and then I saw somebody actually play it in person, and I was like, ah.
You had to do like the claw, like you had to get your right hand, 3 fingers on the backside, and 2 fingers with the stylus to sort of mimic the sort of the mouse and keyboard touch controls.
Yep.
We managed. I can never do it again, but we managed back then.
Nowadays, we're old and arthritic.
Oh, yes. Yes. But yeah, I never really, apparently, looking back, apparently there was a teaser for Metroid Prime 3 at the end where it was revealed that Psylocke was going to be at the at the end credits, was going to be like, they were teased, and apparently the Federation Force, same sort of deal, they were teased as well, so it was somewhat expected that they were going to show up. But I'm still saying like a weird choice for an antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so they show up. You got to protect the artifact, and then you get transported into a planet called Vuros. And from this, it's found out that it was inhabited by the Lamorne race, who have gone extinct. You need to find 5 keys, and the way this game works is that you have these 5 levels. You've got the Fury Green, which is also like a jungle biome.
Mm-hmm.
Stunning. You got the Vault Forge, a mechanical zone, Ice Belt, which is sort of the ice station, a flare pool, which is sort of like a magma thing level, and then a mining base. But whereas so it's something like Metroid Prime, the first one, these sort of be like all of these will sort of be interconnected somewhat within each other. Metroid Prime 4 essentially has like a hub base, and the hub is called Soul Valley. This is the infamous desert.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, as everyone's saying, this is pretty lackluster. Because the whole thing is that you end up, you go into the Vault Forge, the mechanical level stage, and this is where you introduce your bike, the Viola. Controls really well. It's the Vault Forge is actually sort of it's a training level to how you can use it. But then you go into the Soul Valley, and there's practically nothing to do. It is literally just there's entrances within each for each of the sections, each of the levels. But the Soul Valley, just like the thing you do in Soul Valley is literally what's called collecting green crystals, which just seems slapped on. Silly. Like, it is annoying how that's all you do, pretty much doing it.
It's busy work. Just, yeah.
It is. It's just busy work for the sake of it. I sort of feel like it does look like, from what we've been hearing now with interviews, it does look like it was going to be a more open-ended game, something akin like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. But it looks like that was scaled back. And like, at least like something like the Zelda games, you've got these like little mini dungeons that you go in and you can collect. You solve puzzles in those, and you collect like a piece to like increase your hearts or
Your stamina.
stamina.
Yeah, they're like tiny
Yeah.
little like snack-sized dungeons. You can't really do that in like a Metroidvania though. Like you can do that with like
No, like,
you can sort of do that with like a puzzle room, but that's like something you gently sprinkle. You don't make that like dozens upon dozens the way Zelda does it with those mini dungeons.
yeah. The thing is, like, there's like not dozens and dozens. There's like, I'd probably say like half a dozen without the whole desert, and each of those are just like one basic puzzle. You do get items with those that sort of increase because with this game you get you sort of get different sort of types of missiles, and in these sort of dungeons within the desert, they will help you like charge up your missile for each type. So there's like an ice missile, a fire missile, an electric missile. So they are handy, but you would think like, okay, I understand if this is like this big open desert, okay, there's a whole bunch of items in there. You get a whole bunch of missile upgrades or energy tanks. Those are still thankfully scattered within the actual levels themselves. And the levels themselves are designed really, really well. But just whereas like an ice level, the ice level will go into the fire level, then it will connect up to the jungle level. No, you just get the jungle level, and then you go into the desert, and then from the desert you go into the actual fire level. So that is a big disappointment. Yeah. The second controversy has been the addition of the non-playable characters. I would say I did grow to like them. They're not ham-fisted as, say, like, I go back to something like Half-Life 2, where everybody comments on you this pretty much, Gordon Freeman is the new Jesus. Sort of that guy. Like, that's not like that. What you'll get in this game is just everybody's a fangirl of Samus. Like, everyone's just really excited to see Samus. But nothing like the new Messiah. They're just like, I can't believe I'm talking to Samus. You will get dialogue within them. The dialogue is cheesy, but you do get used to it. And there are some funny moments. And when you're actually in like a section itself, it's the dialogue's few and far. But it's only like one bit you had to do it through, and then they go back into like sort of like a base camp, and then oftentimes you have to go back to the jungle level, and you won't hear them. You still got that sort of like that you're by yourself,
right? Yeah,
which is cool. There is one character, Miles. He was the one that was sort of in the previews as everyone was worried, but he was going to be you constantly talking your ear off. He doesn't talk your ear off. Like, he'll go like in the desert, and he'll go, "Oh, I think you should go to this place," or "I think you should go to this place." It's like, yeah, whatever, Miles. Just I do what I want. The only annoying thing is that he's got sections where he says, "Oh, you need to come back to base camp because you've gotten this chip, and I need to install this into your shit." The problem is that it'll then come up and say, "Okay, you're gonna need to open up your map to see what it is." It's like, okay, I open up the map, and then slowly reveals where the base camp is. But it's like, I know what the base camp is each time. I don't need to be shown where it is each time. A good solid 30 seconds to show me where it is each time.
Also,
that's annoying.
Yeah, like, and these chips, are they like proper upgrades that unlock new areas?
Yeah, no, these are sort of like the actual. These are the missile upgrades. Whereas in the original games, it'd just unlock then and there. In this game, it's not for all items. It's just for these particular ones. You have to go back to the base camp to get Miles to sort of unlock them for you.
What? It's a Metroidvania. Like, you get it, and then you can use it. That's how these games work. We don't need
exactly.
Did they? I can only assume this is an overreaction to the criticism people had of Metroid Other M, where things do get unlocked then and there in the moment. You don't need to go back, but they get unlocked by your commanding officer because he authorizes you to
Mm.
use it, and people are like, why doesn't she just have it right away? and
Oh my god, yeah.
and then they heard it and were like, fine, we'll give it a reason why she can't do it right away. And like, we're like, that's not what we meant. Come back.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. But no, but it's yeah, it's very like those are probably the annoying things. Um, and so it sucks because like the bike is cool, the Veolia, the bike is cool to zip around in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool to do, but there's nothing to do except for just slamming into green crystals.
They know what they
But
did.
yeah. I will I just want to say another sort of a weirdness, the amiibo situation. There is comes to especially there is a one amiibo unlocker. Apparently, you can when you're actually going around in the desert. Excuse me. There is music, but you can actually if you put this amiibo on, you can unlock music that's been played from other levels. So I always like to have like the Vault Forge theme because it was thumping. Going into that. But yeah, so it is like people are annoyed because it's an amiibo unlock, so it's like paid DLC apparently. You can unlock it, but to unlock it, you have to 100% complete the game. And by that point, it's like, well, you have to do 100% scans, 100% items. And at that point, it's just like, well, I've done like 99% of the game anyway. Why am I doing it right now? Why am I unlocking it right now? But that's not what I want to get into with the amiibo. The amiibo, there are some other things. There's one where you can actually unlock skins for your Veolia, depending on how far you drive. But the other weird one is apparently you can put in any Metroid amiibo, and it'll just play a Metroid sound. That's what it does. And it's just like do 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 do, or like when you collect an item, it'll just play that sound. That's all it does.
That is profoundly underwhelming.
And there's another one, the Psylux, because there's a Psylux amiibo, and all they do when you put the amiibo on, they'll just unlock a voice clip, something like "I'm coming to get you, Samus," or "I'm gonna be ready." That's all it does.
I've never been one for amiibos. Like so I'm probably not the best person to make this call, but if I had like paid for an amiibo to see like what the integration of it would be, I would be incredibly disappointed by these.
I mean, I'm a amiibo aficionado. I generally don't use amiibo. Like if it's something like to help me, if it's something like to like get me like increase health or something, I generally won't use it.
Yeah, because the game's probably designed to not need that.
Yeah. But I like him for letting stuff like I like a costume like like the Mario Kart 8, the Mii costumes. You can use amiibo to unlock those, like Sonic and Mega Man.
Yeah,
which are pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But that's just I just want to point out the amiibo functionality. But really, I've said it long now. I absolutely love this game. Like it is not Metroid Prime. Like that is considered a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's a high bar to clear.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Like, okay, I had a plan because I had this. It came out on the Thursday. The next week, I had to actually go interstate on a plane, and the idea was that okay, I'm gonna play this game. I probably won't finish it for a couple of weeks. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna play that on the plane because it's only like a 2-hour flight to there and then back. So that'd be cool playing Metroid on the plane. I finished it. That was the next week. I finished it on the weekend. This was a sit down and play for the entire weekend game. I rarely do that. Like if I really get invested in a game, I will do that, but it's been a while since I've done that.
Yeah, you pick up the controller, you put it down, and you ask yourself, wait, where did they go? What do you mean it's dinner
Yeah.
time? You're lying to me.
Exactly. Like I it shows the results. I got 96% scans because I missed a couple ones that you can only do at a particular time. I did get 100% of the items. But I would say from all of that, it was about 15 hours. But I would say that's a good solid 15 hours.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back. I'm thinking of all these like Breath of the Wild and that, these are hundreds of hours that I've put into it. Like I love those games. I enjoyed my time, but I cannot see myself just going there. So, I'm just going to pick up Breath of the Wild game and just play that. It's going to be a struggle of me to do that if I know that's the amount of time I'm going to need to invest in.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta be honest, like I've after I played this, I actually went back and played Metroid Prime Remastered. No, actually, at first I played Metroid Zero Mission. Then I did Remastered. Then I did then I've done Super Metroid. And then I did Samus Returns for the 3DS. And I'm currently going through Dread. And so, like, I'm really enjoying the time. And I gotta say, like, for all the faults it had, I know I'm going to play Metroid Prime 4 again. It's just, I've really had a good time with it. It looks stunning on the Switch too. It looks stunning on the Switch, like smooth frame rate. It does get a little bit blocky to keep up with that frame rate.
Yeah.
But Switch 2, like, not a drop. And like you've got like the 60, like the high resolution 60 FPS mode, or like on handheld 720p to 120 frames per second mode,
which is lovely. Yeah.
Which is just buttery smooth. If you got a 4K TV, it'll just drop it down to 1080p, and depending on the distance you are with the TV, it's probably just preferable just to do 120 frames per second. But no, I absolutely love this time. I would, despite what everyone's saying, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not a perfect game, but it sounds like they stuck the landing, which for a game that was that long in development is a pretty rare thing.
From what I hear from the struggles they had for that to turn out this good, like it's just a couple of sections, like the whole desert sucks, the green crystals suck, to you odds and ends, but from the level design of the actual levels, perfection, absolutely stunning. But from time to time, for a bit different, you've been playing some Resident Evil. Has it been spooky for you?
It has. Would you believe it is in fact spooky and scary, although I didn't see many skeletons. But no,
that's good.
I started playing this game for one of the strangest reasons I've ever played a game. A friend of mine they were playing Minecraft, and they were bemoaning that they wanted to make a fancy mansion, but wanted some reference for that. Specifically, they really wanted some good reference for the Spencer Mansion from Resident Evil, because that's a nice, opulent, like, gothic mansion with a lot of unnecessary, elaborate detail. But they couldn't really find good reference images for it. So I was just like, I have it installed right now, right? And so I started playing this game exclusively just as a cameraman to take screenshots for somebody else to use in their Minecraft project. Which also made me very keenly aware of the fact that this game does not actually have camera controls. Like, we are used to, modern Resident Evil, and also the modern remakes of the classics having actual camera controls. But this game it predates all of that. This is, for reference, I played the version you can get right now on Steam, which is the 2016 HD remaster of what was originally the GameCube remake of the original on the PlayStation. Because Resident Evil 1 has been around the block. Like, I dare say, before Skyrim came along, it was a strong contender for the most re-released game of all time. Capcom was really shoving it out the door for a while there. Like, up to and including the DS version, if anybody remembers that, Deadly Shadows,
Yep.
where you had to control the knife with the little stylus. It was not very good.
It had
So,
multiplayer on that.
I think it did, yeah. So yeah, like, Capcom has re-released Resident Evil 1 a whole bunch of times, and eventually they were like, okay, we want to remaster this a little bit, get it up to modern standards, because, the PlayStation graphics hadn't aged super well after a certain point. Like, I think 2 and 3 actually look pretty good to this day, the originals. But Resident Evil 1, if you look at the original, it does look kind of rough. It's impressive what they got away with the pre-rendered backgrounds, but it looks a little rough. So, okay, they remake it. For what was at the time the GameCube, top of the line in its day. But turns out they still didn't have enough processing power to make it both look good and give you free camera controls. So they just kept the original angles. They were just like, all right, we'll pre-render all over again, just with much, much higher fidelity, and stick with the, like, hard-locked camera angles, which is a very rare thing for Resident Evil ultimately nowadays. Like, this particular combination of genuinely, pretty high fidelity graphics, or at least certainly for 2016, nowadays less so, but still looks very respectable with the lighting and everything. Like, good graphics, but locked camera angles. I can only think of one other Resident Evil game where that applies, and that's Resident Evil 0. If you haven't heard of that one, yeah, there's a reason for it. It's not good. It's kind of terrible, actually. But that's the only other one that had this experience, where they made it and then they did an HD remake, but they didn't really do a full drastic overhaul like they did for 2 and 3 and 4. And I love the drastic overhaul remakes. Like, those are genuinely some of the best things Capcom has ever done. For that matter, I think you could make an argument they're some of the best games anyone has ever made. Like, Remake 2 and Remake 4, even 3. I think 3 is underrated. Great games. But we're not here to talk about those. We're here to talk about the first. Which, fun fact, doing my research for this episode, do you know Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation was itself a remake?
Yeah, I've heard of this. It was apparently a remake of a Famicom game?
Yeah. A pretty drastic reimagining of it, to be fair. But yeah, there was a game on the Super Nintendo / Famicom that was called Sweet Home, and it was a tie-in with a horror movie, I believe. And the game was a horror game, but it was also kind of an experimental RPG. It was top-down, as was the style at the time. But the RPG aspect of it was a little bit more Western. You had a team of thieves breaking into a mansion, trying to get a hold of precious items, but the mansion was spooky and dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
The director of Sweet Home, eventually, years down the line, was like, I really like that game. Wow, does the Super Nintendo struggle to be creepy? Like, these graphics are not really scary anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I should remake this with modern technology. So he went to Capcom and pitched it, and they liked it, and they told him, find somebody who will head the project. And he found what was at the time a young up-and-comer, Shinji Mikami, who had a reputation in the office for being a scaredy cat who didn't like horror movies. And that's why he picked him. The idea being, if you pick a horror fan, they're going to be jaded. They're not going to intuitively know what is and isn't scary. You need someone who can get freaked out by their own game. And to his credit, Shinji Mikami accepted that assignment and went about it very seriously. I don't envy him. I can't imagine that must have been a very fun process. But the end result is the scares in this game are classic for a reason. I do think there are scarier entries, not just in gaming in general, but also in this series. Like, I think Resident Evil 7 is probably the scariest one out of the bunch. But there are genuinely unnerving bits in this game, and the old locked camera angles do help with that. The best way to make people scared of what could be around the corner is don't let them look around the corner.
Yep.
It does create a nice, tense atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And good thing, too, because, look, this is the opposite of a hot take. This is, like, we are approaching absolute zero here in terms of take temperature, but, for those unaware, the voice acting is not great. It's better in this remake than it was in the original, but
yep.
Not a single person in this game sounds human, and ostensibly at least 4 of them are human. So, yeah, like, this was my first time playing through this game as Chris Redfield. I played it and beaten it before as Jill Valentine. Jill Valentine's campaign is where we have, Jill Sandwich and Master of Unlocking, like, wonderfully weird dialogue.
Yep.
Chris Redfield's campaign does not have anything remotely so memeable. And oh god, I wish it did. I wish there was something for me to hold on to. I struggle to think of a character with less personality than Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 1. He is the perfect stone-faced automaton. That man's voice is a metronome. Like, does not enunciate, does not inflect. And while the remake gave everybody better character models and, like, higher fidelity and everything, one thing they did not apparently get around to was animating his face to convey any emotion whatsoever. In fact, nobody really does. And that kind of works for Wesker. Like, he's got the sunglasses and he's Mr. Serious Business anyway, so that kind of works. But every other conversation between every other character is just two dead-eyed homunculi looking at each other and asserting that, yes, we should do that. It's odd.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I don't think this is something they, like, carefully rationed out. I'm not saying this is, intentional design, but I am happy that it turned out this way. There aren't that many conversations. Like, the game doesn't bog itself down with this stuff. It's like every 45 minutes you get one of these, and they're actually kind of a nice little chance to catch your breath in its own way. Like, you get a second to be like, whew, actually, made progress, and I get to hear what these, I get to find out what's up with Barry and Jill, etc., etc. And eventually, Resident Evil started taking away those breathers. Like, eventually they started being like, oh, you know what would be really tense if we make the player react during cutscenes. Most famously in Resident Evil 4, which was a great game, but had QuickTime events up the wazoo. But people tend to forget, even the original Resident Evil 3 had QuickTime events. It was actually one of the first games to do it. So they eventually kind of take these away. But as it stands, like, while the dialogue in Chris's campaign is profoundly redundant and often very silly in how stilted it is, it never goes on long enough or shows up frequently enough to actually be a bother. So that's nice. Yeah. And it was nice playing as Chris, if only because Resident Evil loves having multiple protagonists in the same game. Like, literally every installment in the franchise does it. They just go about it in very different ways and in different ratios. This is one of the only times where they've just been like, very straightforwardly, there's two different characters who play differently on a fundamental level and have slightly different roots. Because in something like Resident Evil 2, Leon and Claire, they get different routes and different loadouts of items and weapons, but numerically, they both have the same amount of health. They both have the same amount of, like, carry capacity, etc., etc. Like, neither one is, mechanically speaking, very different, other than, like, what they are given. Resident Evil 1, there are actually, like, stat differences. Like, Jill Valentine gets more carry capacity, Chris Redfield gets more health, and they get different sort of bonus items that don't take up item slots. And I would recommend first-time players probably go with Jill Valentine, because that extra carry capacity does make it a little easier to go through the mansion if you've never explored the mansion before. If you're familiar with the mansion, then you know where everything is, and you can, you don't need to backtrack because it turns out you don't have the key to this door yet, etc. But the first game, especially on the higher difficulties, and I did play, I started playing this on easy, and then I was like, I want to bump it up a bit, so I did. On the higher difficulties, Resident Evil 1 is harsh. Like, it was not afraid to expect you to just try and die, is the only way I can really put it. I restarted that playthrough a couple of times, actually. And Chris does have some wiggle room because he has more health, and you kind of need to accept. You need to stop thinking of your health as, a limit, as, something to be very mindful of that it doesn't get to. You need to start thinking of it as a budget, because there is just not very much ammo in this very first one. And on the higher difficulties, it can take quite a lot of it to down enemies. And also, killing zombies can be dangerous, because originally in Resident Evil, if you kill the zombie, they're just dead, they're not coming back. For the GameCube remaster and every version since, they added a system where you have to burn the bodies. Because if you don't, they eventually come back as Crimson Heads, which are even stronger and more dangerous. So, a thing I sort of had to accept for a lot of the early game was, maybe I just don't kill them. Maybe I don't fight them at all. Maybe I just run through them. And Chris can do that because he has a bigger health bar and can take a couple extra hits. I would not recommend that strategy with Jill Valentine. But yeah, people have asked why Resident Evil 1 hasn't gotten the same remake treatment as Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. And I don't know, maybe Capcom will eventually get around to that, but I'm not sure what it would add. Like, don't get me wrong, I was in the exact right generation to remember how many times they re-released this. So there's this part of me that it just has this deep, beleaguered sigh at the mere mention of re-releasing this again. But also, while I think this is a very solid foundation for the rest of the series to build upon, like, Resident Evil 7 already kind of was a reimagining of what Resident Evil 1 could have been. That's why it's called Resident Evil /Biohazard. Like, that's them intentionally calling back to the original Japanese title.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And they've sort of played around with that a bit. Like, Resident Evil 8 sort of remakes bits and pieces from Resident Evil 2 and 4. But yeah. So I'm not sure this game really needs the full-fledged big budget remake treatment at this point. Like, it is a classic, and I enjoyed going through it. It holds up, and I do love, like, I think this is a reveal and twist that they do better in the later games, especially 2. But I do love the twist that they put on, because, like, okay, we do a Haunted Mansion story, and it turns out it's a mad scientist story. Except it's not a single mad scientist who would take over the world. No, it's incredibly blasé, quarterly budget corporate scientists. Like, it's not one guy, it's an entire organization, and this isn't really an accident. This isn't, well, it's kind of an accident in the sense that, like, the monsters broke free, but they were planning on making monsters. That wasn't a fluke. Like, these are by design. That, like, we are one round of iteration away from, like, slapping a trademark and a price tag on these boys. And that was a fun twist. I like how the game does that pivot for the final third from Gothic mansion to, like, strict sterile science. I think 2 does that the best version out of all of them, but 1 set the template, and it did do a good job with it. I have one nitpick that's been bugging me since I played that I do need to get off my chest here. So there's a room. There's a room in the mansion that's behind a painting, behind a big painting in a storage closet. You can see on the map that room is there. And you find documents talking about the secret room behind the painting. And I couldn't figure out how to get past the painting. I tried a bunch of different things. I'm like, okay, can I cut through the painting with my knife? No. Is there a niche use for my key items? Like, is this just adventure game logic where I need to rub a rubber ducky on it or something? So I tried all of my key items. No, that didn't work. Do I need to just shoot it and break it? No. And eventually, I don't like doing this, but eventually I gave up and I look up online, how do I get into the secret room behind the painting? Because the game is so clearly, it's not even hinting at it. It's showing me on the map. Like, how do I get in there? And the answer is in New Game Plus.
Oh my god.
Just completely not accessible in the base game. Even though they show you that it's there.
Oh.
Like, and I would have been okay with that if they had taken out the documents that talk about it. Because, like, if it's on the map but I can't get there, then, I can assume that, like, oh, maybe that's only a thing in Jill's campaign, or, like, what have you. But no, if you give me the document saying I hid a cool thing in the secret room behind the painting, I'm gonna operate under the assumption that that I can get to the cool secret room behind the painting.
Yeah.
Oh. And then I looked up, well, okay, what's in the cool secret room behind the painting? I have to know now. Is this worth going to New Game Plus? It's alternate costumes. Lads, I feel like you could have implemented this a lot more gracefully. I'm fine with alternate costumes. That's a great thing to give people, especially on New Game Plus. Why did you shove 92% of it into the base game? I don't get it. I don't get it. Ugh. Other than that, I had a lovely time with it. I genuinely did. Like, Resident Evil games can get bad. The aforementioned 0 is not good. Resident Evil 6 is not good. But there is a reason that this one was a smash hit that started a big franchise. There is a reason we keep coming back to these. It's a solid formula, and it does work the vast majority of the time. Whoever was in charge of that friggin' room behind the painting, I have notes. Sternly worded notes
Well, on that note, that's going to do it for this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I have been your host, Scott. Thank you very much, Sesko, for joining me.
Thank you for having me. As always, it's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. And we'll catch all of you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us get noticed. You can also listen and subscribe on other podcast services such as Spotify. Make sure to check our other show, Unfocused. Be sure to join our Discord server to interact with the lively GamePodular community. Follow us on Mastodon, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch, and at GamePodular.com for updates, news, and other content. Links are in the show notes. If you would like to support our shows, you can buy us a coffee or become a GamePodular Patreon. The details for both are on our website. This episode was edited by myself, and you can follow me on Blue Sky at ScottyJman. You can follow Seskra at Seskra the Spider at bsky.social, albeit at your own risk. Thanks for listening.